Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you have all the details needed to stay updated with all the courses, content and any information that I am coming up with. So let's get started for today's video. Hi friends, welcome back. So in this particular video, we are going to talk about stage 2. I would recommend you to please stay on this complete video till the end because we will be talking about PMP application form, its process. We'll talk about audit and query differences. We'll see why an application is picked up for audit, what you should be careful about, and we'll see how the application form actually looks out on the website and how can you schedule it once you're done rest of the stages of filling up the form. Stay tuned. Now we already spoke about the three stages in our previous video. Here I'm just reiterating that again. We already spoke about stage 1. I'm going to link this first video of this complete series here so that if you have missed that out, you can look into it and see the complete process of master knows what is PMP, how to get started and get certified, what are the eligibility requirements, and the overall cost of getting PMP certified. Now in this particular video, we are focusing on stage 2 where we are seeing the application process. We will see how the PMP application form is filled, what are the prerequisites, we have already seen that. We'll see application review and audit process. We'll see difference between query and audit so that you don't panic or get too much into worry when you see an email or a notification coming from PMI after your form submission process is in between. And then we'll also see how to schedule an exam. The last stage or third stage is more detailed. We'll have a separate video on that where we will see complete PMBOK and study resources. We'll have different videos in there. It will be a complete set of resources for you. I'm going to put together all the videos for the study that you need on each domain from PMP so that all the material that you need to study PMP exam is in one place for you. Don't have to roam around and be worried about that. You'll see the appearance in the PMP exam and how to maintain your badge. But that comes in stage 3. Let's focus on our current video, which is stage 2. Now let's talk about what will happen once you know that you are eligible to apply for PMP certification and you have already completed your 35 video hours training. Next stage is that you need to draft your experience and fill up the application form. Let's do this together so that there's no chance of making mistakes during your file filling. Let's get started. When we talk about filling up the form or submitting, there are certain questions that arise in your mind. So let's talk about what are the things that you need to consider once you are actually filling up the form. Now, when you talk about filling up the form, the first thing you must ensure is that your 35 contact hours PDU training certificate is in hand with you, in front of you. You'll need that. Secondly, you must know that the project management experience, that is non-overlapping experience, is reported well. When you submit the application form, there are two scenarios. One is that you will see a thank you on the screen. That means you have successfully submitted your form. Second scenario can be that you see selected for audit. That's where you are entering into the audit for your application. Now, should you be actually valid for it or not? Let's talk about that. Now let's say that you have received a message selected for audit on your application as soon as you submitted it. Now there is a slight difference between the two, audit and query. You should not be worried. It can be just a query. PMI might raise a query in case your experience is not as per the PMI guidelines. Now in that case, they will give you some time. It's not an audit. You just have to reply back based on the email and they might review, and within 5 to 7 business days your application will be all good and you can actually schedule your exam. Now the second case is actual audit where you are receiving PMI application audit notification either on email or on the website. In that case, you will have certain things to justify to PMI and you will have 90 days of total time period to do that. In that case, This is actually where you say that your application has been picked up for audit. It's really important not to panic once you receive any such messages. It's not a problem. You can always explain to PMI with the details that you have asked for. They will review it again and then they can let you go through the complete application process successfully, and you can actually enroll yourself for the exam date and sit for the exam. All right, so now let's quickly see what are the common reasons for your application to be picked up for the audit. The first and foremost is if a PMI rejects the project experience you have mentioned, it can be based on the PMI guidelines that you have not followed. Don't mention something that you haven't done. That is really bad for your application. Second reason would be your educational qualifications that are not matching with what you have mentioned or what is required as per the role mentioned by PMI as per their guidelines. So these are two major reasons why your application might be picked up for the audit. One more is role criteria. Now, obviously, PMI doesn't ask you to be a project manager to apply for PMP, but your role has to match with the requirements of PMI guidelines for PMP eligibility. Please make sure you tally that and look at that before you actually start filling up your essays and putting them together. These are two major common reasons why your application can go into audit. Most importantly, please know that there's an algorithm that actually picks up your application for audit. It's not manual. So if your experience is not matching with what PMI wants as per the guidelines, the algorithm might put it out into the box and you are picked up for the audit. So if you put it properly, there are chances that you would not be picked up for audit. One of out of all 10 applications on average are picked up for audit. So it's on your luck and how you're presenting it. Both of them are equally important. So stay tuned. Let's see how the form is filled up and how this actually looks on the website of PMI when you start filling up the form. Thank you. Now let's see how the PMP application actually looks like. You see the first part is education, the second is experience, and the final one is exam details. So when you go through the actual application form, this is the first landing page you'll come through. You'll have to fill in your academic education and save the education. Once you do that, the next part would be you'll have to enter your professional education. Now, this is what we are calling 35 PDU hours or the contact hours of training. That is mandate. So once you fill that in and save this, you will be getting a notification for the next page where you will have to now fill up your experience. Let's have a look how that looks like. Now, once you fill that part, you will be landing to experience. Once you are here, you can refer to the handbook, as I said, for the non-overlapping time period of experience, but I'll also help you if you need help. Now, you need to at least show here 36 months. Now, why it is showing 36 months for me? Because I have added bachelorate degree there. So based on what education you are putting up, you will see number of months as 64, 36, or 24, like we already discussed earlier. Based on your education, your experience will be needed. So if you're bachelor's, you'll need 36 months. Now you'll add your project title. You'll have to add your organization. You can see these are all mandate fields. You need to add your job title, and then you will need to have filling up the functional reporting area. You're in human resources, finance, customer service, doesn't matter. Roles and responsibilities have to match with the project management role as per PMI guidelines in the handbook. Now, second would be organization's primary focus. So, one is your industry, and then you'll drill it down to the primary focus area and you can fill that up. It's again mandatory, all these fields are mandatory. I'm just giving you a look so that you know what you are going to face. Now, what approach or methodology you are using there? You're using traditional waterfall, agile, or hybrid. You will have to select that, is also mandatory. You will have to put in the team size that you're working with or you're handling, because one of the roles is to manage and handle the team members, team management. That's one of the core roles and responsibilities you have to showcase as a project management or for the PMP. Now you have to put the team size. Please do not fake these numbers, because that's where comes the problem. Put up what is true and what is right. Even if it is 1 2 members, it still has an option, so you can always put less You don't have to go for 20 or more or 15. Please make sure that you're putting all the data correctly. You have to put your budget of project. It is also mandatory. Now your project dates have to be there, start and end date. And if that project is a long-term project, you might also have to say that, oh, it's a 6 years project and it's in continuation while you're applying for this, or 5 years. So you can just check mark in progress, and then this will be the field that will go off and you can just proceed. Now, this is where the tricky part comes in. When you provide a high level description or summarize your experience, you have to make sure that you are referring to PMI guidelines. There are few things in the description, if I read a sample to you, that should have terms like, let's say you have been leading or managing teams, so you must have these words appearing in your roles. You must say something like initiation, or you are doing a kickoff, you're managing people, you're a team leader, or you're leading a team. Okay, you must say that you are doing some budgeting, or you are monitoring and controlling. If you want any drafts on their experience, I can help you with that. Please reach out to me, but please make sure your 200 to 500 words of this essay actually derive completely from what you're actually doing or telling about for the project that you're putting up in experience. Don't fake, don't bluff. Just put that together. Just make sure that they are as per PMI guidelines, and these few roles and responsibilities have these kind of jargons being used. They should be used while you are saving your experience here. Once you do that, you're all good, you're all set, you'll go to the next level. And once you do that, you will have to just pay the exam fee, like we see. You'll get the exam details once your experience is done. And once you see those details, you can just look at the calendar. And when you are preparing for it, you can always go back, say this form, and see what exam date suits you. You always get a chance to reschedule your exam with some timelines and time frames. So don't panic if you still put some ballpark figures there. Let's say 3 months or 6 months down the line, go ahead and book your exam. If you think by that time you're not prepared or you're not ready for it, go ahead and reschedule it. So that's not a problem, but your experience should be very well done while you're putting up your application form together. So this is all that I wanted to talk about here. But if you need more details, you think you need to drill down more on how you put application form together or how you're actually writing a description while you're putting up your experience, please make sure to drop a comment or drop me an email at the email address given in this video, and I'll reach out to you and I'll try and help as much as possible. Thank you very much for listening so patiently and subscribing to the channel. If you still haven't subscribed, no worries. Please go ahead and do that, because I'll be coming up with stage 3 that will cover all the study materials, study references and resources, and some mock tests for you free of cost. I'm not charging anything for that. It's just a way to